Our gospel today continues in the Gospel of Matthew, and Jesus has begun telling stories, and today he continues that practice. Another story Jesus put before the crowds. The kingdom of heaven may be compared to someone who sowed good seed in his field, but while everybody was asleep, an enemy came and sowed weeds among the wheat, and then went away. So when the plants came up and bore grain, then the weeds appeared as well. And the slaves of the householder came and said to him, "Master, didn't you sow good seed in your field? Where then did these weeds come from?" He answered, "An enemy has done this." The slave said to him, "Then do you want us to go and to gather them?" But he replied, "No, for in gathering the weeds you would uproot the wheat along with them, that both of them grow together until the harvest. At harvest time I'll tell the reapers, collect the weeds first and bind them in bundles to be burned, but gather the wheat into my barn." Then he left the crowds and went into the house. And his disciples approached Jesus, saying, "Explain to us the parable of the weeds of the fields." He answered, "The one who sows the good seed is the Son of Man. The field is the world, and the good seed are the children of the kingdom. The weeds are the children of the evil one, and the enemy who sowed them is the devil. The harvest is the end of the age, and reapers are angels. Just as the weeds are collected and burned up with fire, so it will be at the end of the age. The Son of Man will send his angels, and they will collect out of his kingdom all causes of sin and all evildoers. And they will throw them into the furnace of fire, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Then the righteous will shine like the sun in the kingdom of their Father. Let anyone who has ears listen." Let us pray. Lord, may your words only be spoken and your words only heard, and we do ask this all for your love's precious sake. Amen. Please be seated. One of the most important concepts of all concepts in the Christian faith is this concept of mission. And mission is the idea that God has a calling upon your life, that God has a unique task or purpose for which you were created, for which you are uniquely qualified, and that discovering this mission, discovering our mission in life and executing it is one of the single most important things we can do. It's what ennobles us. It's what, by God's grace and with God's help, lifts us into the very presence of God, lets us experience God's presence with us in powerful and dramatic ways, and it, frankly, is what changes the world. And people use that word all the time. Yeah, change the world, but very few people really do. But when we know our mission, we embrace our mission, we execute our mission, that really does change that world. That really does begin to establish the dream of God here on this earth in a way that it's never been established before. And so it always thrills me when our folks go on mission trips. You probably know that one of our hopes for everybody is that all of us would go on a mission trip. And in particular, we really hope that when the time is right, and the time isn't always right, when the time is right, that everyone would go on a third world mission trip. Because we think that is essential to shaping our perspective on life and our experience of who God is and God's the way God works. And so we just hope that for everybody. And this last week, some folks went to Haiti. And as I said, they've got some great stories to tell of the way that they embraced their mission and went down to Haiti to do just that. So I'm not going to take any more of the time, and let's hear from them now. Divine Miss M. All right.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Emily Palmer, as some of you know. And those of you who don't, I've been on 4 mission trips, and Haiti was my first time going to Haiti, though. So I didn't really know what to expect. I had heard Mary Peterson had asked me, "Hey, Emily, you want to come on another mission trip?" And I had been debating because as some of you know, I'm a physical therapist, and I wanted to go on a medical mission trip. But I hadn't had the chance to do that yet. And I was like, well, this isn't really a medical mission trip, but I do love doing construction and playing with kids, so yeah, I'll do it. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about some of the experiences I had there and how I actually was able to minister medically to some of the people there, even though it wasn't a medical mission trip. So one of the days, the usual routine, we would go up to the church and do some construction. And one of the guys there, we called the Beast, was his nickname. He was one of the Haitian workers who literally could do anything. He had like Popeye arms. He would mix concrete with his bare hands. He would do everything. And one day I noticed he was kind of sitting on the side, and that was very unusual because you always saw him just working hard as could be. And so I overheard him saying that his neck was hurting and he could like barely turn his neck, and I was like, oh, that's not good. And so I asked, one of our leaders who could speak Creole, I said, ask him if I could work on him to see if I could make him a little better so he could continue working. And so he asked him, and he was like, oh yeah, for sure, have her work on me. I was like, okay. And so I had him sit down, I started working on him, and his neck muscles had just gone into spasm. They were overworking, and so it was restricting him. And so I started using some of the techniques that I use, daily in my clinic. And it was a little hard, I had to use Luther to translate and tell him to bend his head this way, and you could just see him grimacing as how much pain he was in. And I kept working. I would ask him, okay, does it feel better, worse, or the same? Started feeling a little better, and he's like, no, keep working on it. And I was like, okay, I'll keep working on it. And so I eventually got it to work out, and he was able to then turn his head, and he went right back to work. So it was really cool to see that, especially he spoke no English. And so with Luther having to translate, it was awesome to get to treat him. And I asked him, I checked up with him, hey, how are you feeling the next day? And he was feeling pretty good. It was still a little sore, but he was able to do all of his work. Another story I wanted to tell is of a man named Jonas. He was one of the other construction workers, and he was the guy in charge of all the rebar. So we were making a platform, and in order to do that, you have to have a lot of support. So you have to cut rebar to support it, whether it's building columns or other structures to help strengthen it. And so I walk in, and Zach Cates, who's one of the other missionaries, he was like, Emily, hey, you want to come bend rebar with your bare hands? And I'm like, what? Okay, why not? And so I go, and he's like, okay, you use this tool and you bend it up. And I was like, okay, let's do this. And then Jonas comes over, and he was like, she's good. Like, have her do this. And it was actually funny because during one of the times, he has pretty high expectations. He's the one who is in charge of this. And so I was like, okay, I don't want to screw this up, He knows what's up. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm going to just follow what he tells me to do. And he came over one time, and he was like, this girl right here, she's more of an engineer than you. Zach is like an engineer. And I was like, no, I am not more of an engineer. But it was really, really cool to see the patience. And I ended up we nicknamed him the professor. Because even though he knew what he was doing and had 25 years experience, I was talking to him, he had 25 years of experience doing this. He took the time and the courage to teach us what to do. And this was not, just saw this. We were actually bending into certain shapes that had to be certain dimensions. And you could see as the week went on, he really built trust with us. He was like, no, you guys they would always say, good job. And we even got a very good job this year, which was awesome. And so it was just amazing to hear him. And then I saw this little boy running around the church and like kind of following and helping us when he could. And I was like, who's that? And I ended up talking to Jonas, and it was his son. And he was like maybe 10 years old. And he was just following in his dad's footsteps, helping however he could. So it was really cool to see, that he was just helping out. He didn't have to be there. He could have gone playing somewhere else, but he was there helping us. And then the last story, kind of going with the kids there just radiate love and kindness to you. One of the days we were walking to the soccer field, which is about a mile walk, and you start walking, and immediately you have arm candy on both sides. You have 2 to 3 kids on each side just grabbing a hold of you, not wanting to let go, and they're just walking with you. And one of the times I had a couple of the girls that had been working with me and playing with me, and they, asked my name again, and it was funny how the transition worked. It started from, I was called Blanc, which means white. they would be like, Blanc, Blanc, and I was like, what are they talking? Oh, me, yes, okay, what do you want? And then it came to be, okay, Emily, Emily, and you would walk up to the church and they would just be yelling your name, trying to get your attention. And so these girls were talking with me, and I found out all of their names, and we were talking, and then all of a sudden, without prompting, they started teaching me Creole. And they would just point to something and say the Creole name. And as we just walked along, everything they saw, I was a little overwhelmed because they were telling me everything. But they were teaching me Creole. And it was really cool to see, they just welcomed me as their own and teaching me, okay, this is how you say, like, how are you? And then someone was walking by and they were like, say this to her, say this to her. And it was like, hello, how are you? And I was like, okay, I don't know what she's gonna say back, but I'll say it. So it was just so cool to see that I started out with being Blanc, and then they just welcomed me in with open arms and started calling me by name. And so I hope, that's something I can take here, and I hope that you guys can do the same, is like not just know someone as, so-and-so's brother or someone that goes to my church, but actually get to know them and know more about them. So Zach is going to tell a little bit more about why he went on the trip.
Good morning. I'm going to start by saying, if you're ever feeling really down and like you're not strong enough and like you need a little bit of strength, just find some rebar and go ahead and bend it. Seriously, it's so empowering. Cut it in half with a hacksaw and a bucket. You can do it. It might take a minute, but you can do it, and you're going to feel really good about yourself and really strong afterwards. I wanted to tell a story. I was at a social event last night, and so I was talking about my trip, and someone asked me, so the church donates a lot of money, and I was like, yes, through the pancake supper and through the script service and just through you guys' general donations. You guys support us so much, and the church down there. We're able to bring resources and our own tools that we're able to leave behind through your donations, so I'm so thankful for all of your support. And she follows that with, so what's to say that we don't just send money? Like, why don't we just send money? And I thought about a little league that has the greatest equipment and a ton of young individuals who are ready to play, but no coach that's willing to take the time and invest in kids that aren't his own. A food pantry that is stocked to the brim with food, but no one willing to take the time to bag it and go take it to somebody's house. Because what's more important than the money that we donate is the time that we give and the time that we invest in each other. It's the relationships that we're building thousands of miles away with completely separate languages and just one God and one love for each other. It's the fact that they asked for Lauren Anderson by name, even though she didn't have the opportunity to go this year. And they asked for Wobob, for Trevor Black and his beard. They ask where he is, and they ask how they're doing. And I'm able to ask them how their children are doing. And I'm able to see the progress that they made on the church, on their own while we were gone. And it's so remarkable. And that's why I go back every year. And I had someone else tell me last night that it was pretty warm here this past week. And I kind of chuckled to myself, and I was like, yeah, but there really is no heat like Haiti in July, I'll tell you what. And so if you thought it was warm here last week, Haiti in July is not for you. But that's okay, because it doesn't have to be Haiti in July, or even Haiti in December. It can be making a meal for somebody because they're not physically able to help themselves in that moment, because they're just struggling. It's taking that time to invest in another member of your congregation, to love your neighbor, to share and know God's love with each other. It's that time that we take every day. It's more important than the money that we give. And that's why I continue to go every year. And that's why I'm so excited that if we have the opportunity, why not next year? Because I'm at an age and I'm in a time in my life where I can take that week. And who's to say you're not? I mean, Mary Peterson just went on her 20th mission trip. This was her 20th trip. That's incomprehensible. That is ridiculous. And Maria Palmer went on her first with us. Zach Cates flew in from, yeah, absolutely. Zach Cates flew in from Austin, but he had gone before, so his brother flew in from Denver. And they all just met us in Miami International, and we welcomed them like they had never left, and it was so amazing. And it's just a fantastic way to practice your faith, because that's why we're here. Because if we don't practice our faith, it goes away, just like anything else. If you stop practicing a sport, you're gonna lose those mechanics. If you stop practicing your faith, you're not gonna love your God just as much as he loves you. That mutual relationship that we're all striving to have is gonna fade. So continue to practice your faith, help your neighbor, and love somebody. Just take today and do it, please. There are so many opportunities here at St. Matt's for you to do that, and I'm so thankful for all of them. Right now, Steve Buck is gonna show you all of the fantastic progress that we've made here in the past few years with your support and all of your donations and your prayers. So thank you again for all of that, but right now, Steve has the floor.
Good morning. We had a fantastic trip, and I wanted to kind of bring everyone up to speed, kind of the progress that we've had for the past couple of years. So first off, I wanted to start and introduce our team for this year. Maria Palmer serving today in the back. You've heard from her daughter Emily. Mary Peterson, as Zach pointed out, this was her 20th mission trip. And Fred Britton is on the front row. And then left to right in the back, you all remember Zach Cates. He came and joined us, Zach. So we had Big Zach and Baby Zach, or Daddy Zach and Baby Zach. And at one point in time, because it's such a family type environment down there, they equated the two Zachs together because you share names between the families. So you were Samuel, then you have son of Samuel and Samuelita if there's a girl born and not planned. So that they, in many cases, I thought that Zach and Zach were father and son, which is a great testament to their working relationship and ability to work together seamlessly. I was hiding behind Mary for this picture. And then, as Zach pointed out, Peter Cates, Zach's older brother, joined us this year from Colorado Springs. So next slide. Or can I do this? Maybe not. Okay, next slide. So I want to give you an appreciation for what your love and support has done for us over the past couple years. Did that mess things up? So this is our third year down to Port Margot. And so this is our start point. So when we came down 3 years ago, the parish had taken about 13 years to gather the money, gather the finances, and this was where they had got to. So we had an outside structure of the building. Everything down there is cement and rebar, as our team found out this year. And so we walked into this environment. So this is the inside of the sanctuary looking out. This is our start point. So year one, our mission was to put a roof on. So the next slide. So this is where we got to in year one, was to be able to put together those trusses, build the scaffolding. And I will share with you that OSHA does not live in Haiti. And there's a lot of good reasons, but so we got the first couple trusses up, and I think we got through truss number 6, and then gave them enough funding, finances. They finished that work. They had contracted for folks outside the community to come in because the trusses were a special skill. They needed some very expert carpenters to put that together. So end of year one got us the roof. Next slide, please. So year two, our mission was to come in and put in the sanctuary floor. And so that included the aisle walkway, all the sanctuary floor, a raised area for the pulpit and some of the altar. And so after the completion of year two, next slide, this is where we got to. So now it's a fully functional sanctuary. They're able to hold services there. they're able to use that as a multi-purpose environment. You can see the pulpit there in the middle, clothed in white. And they use that for all their major community events because the church is the center point of their community. So this year, our mission was, next slide, was to put stairs out front. And to give you a perspective, the two gentlemen that are standing there in the open doorway is Zach and Peter Cates. And so they're 6 foot tall plus. So you can get an appreciation of the height that we're trying to get to just to get to the base of the foundation. And then we're at road level looking up. So there's an elevation change of about 30 feet. 15 feet maybe from the base of the foundation up to where the entranceway is. And so the plan was to put together a slab with stairs to get them up there. Again, recognizing this is a community facility now, and so they're going to use that entranceway as kind of a staging area for, think of a wedding party that's coming in, think of a graduation ceremony, and people coming into the outside or into the church from the outside. So next slide. So this was the construction process, and as our team found out, rebar is an amazing medium to work in, and you can use a combination of cheater pipes and all kinds of different tricks and hacksaws to make this happen. But it was in a series of steps. So they first poured the concrete. We helped them build the rebar cages that allowed those columns to become real. The second slide up there on the upper right is laying the cross beams. And then we got into the rebar reinforcement for the slab. Again, OSHA is not part of Haiti. And then you see kind of a finished part. So that we didn't get a chance to watch them pour the slab because they're trying to interconnect the rebar to create a seamless platform between the stairs and the slab. So the next slide. So this is where we got to, was being able to put that together. You'll see the supports are all bamboo poles. There's no reinforcing between each one of those bamboo poles, so it did kind of move every time you walked on it, which was kind of a Disney ride for some of us. And then you'll see the walkway down that gets them to their stairs. So that's the culminating point, and really that will allow them to use that building for a lot of their community life. Everything from community events, certainly from the parish church services. They want to hold a clinic up there. They want to be able to use that as another type of schooling. And they have tremendous plans for that. And so your love, your support, your donations, and certainly your prayers culminated in our ability to be able to make this happen. And again, this year they shared with us their feelings and gave us a plaque, and that plaque reads, and I'll leave this in the back of the sanctuary: "To our family at St. Matthew's, we are so thankful for your continued love and support over the past years. You are loved in this community and are an answer to prayers. We love you." That's from the whole church, Église Baptiste Ibn Ezer de la Coupe from Haiti. So thank you for making this possible. Thank you for making this transformation work. Thank you for giving them a way to worship God as they want to and make that so much a part of their life. And on behalf of the team, I thank you so much for your love and support for this week. Amen.